My story starts off very similar. I don't know where you're going. We don't discuss like where we're each going with these things, so it's interesting when they align because we haven't planned them. Hey guys, welcome back to Scream Queen Stream. We're your hosts. I'm Jessica Cameron.
And I'm Heather Dorff.
And what are we going to be doing today, Heather Dorff?
Today in the hot tub, we're going to be talking about our bullying stories. So the times we were bullied as kids or adults or whatever, because really you can always be bullied, guys. That's the fun part. But yeah, so I thought it'd be a good thing to discuss.
That was sarcasm if you're new to this channel.
Alright, should I start you?
You go for it.
So this actually got brought up recently with a friend of mine. We were talking about like how females get slut-shamed quite a lot, and I'm very sensitive to that because I was slut-shamed a lot in high school, and not at all with any sort of truth to it. That's the worst part.
What's funny, just to mention, sorry as I rudely interrupt you, my story starts off very similar. I don't know where you're going. We don't discuss like where we're each going with these things, so it's interesting when they align because we haven't planned them. But carry on.
Okay, so yeah, I was slut-shamed a lot in school, even though I really didn't date guys in my school. No one really knew anything about me, to be honest, but for whatever reason, I was slut-shamed a lot. And it's something that it really upset me. It hurt my feelings. It made me feel very alone and kind of like I couldn't trust anyone in school. Well, there was this one guy who, I can't remember if he rode my bus or not, but it was a friend of mine, or someone I thought was a friend, like just a school friend. It wasn't someone I hung out with, you know, after school, whatever, but we always got along. We always had a good camaraderie, like during school hours. He was just genuinely nice to me, and we had been friends for a while, and again, always kept things light, always, you know, talked about current relationships, friends, different life stuff, whatever. And I thought it was someone I could trust, to be honest. And one day, I can't remember how I found out, but one of my friends tells me that this guy, who, again, I never hang out with after school, never did anything with, never dated anything, never flirted with even, was going around telling everyone that he had been sleeping with me and like saying really bad things about it, basically gross, disgusting things that you should not say about a teenage girl in high school, period. But it was just not true. I had never slept with him. I had never even hung out with him, like outside of school. It was fucking stupid. But in that moment, I was so hurt because I did see him as, you know, not a good friend, but a school friend and someone I could trust and someone I could talk to. And he was always nice to my face, and I had no idea he was spreading rumors about me. And we were in the lunchroom when I found out, and he sat at his own table with like jocks, like, you know, like the, you know, sports guys, whatever, even though he particularly wasn't one. And I remember I got up from the table with my tray in my hand with all my food in it, and I walked over to him. And I was like, his name was Jeremy, and I was like, Jeremy, you know, are you going around telling people, you know, you've been sleeping with me? And all of his guy friends are there, and in that moment, he like looks around, and all the guys are like looking at him and looking at me, and he goes, and I should have saw this response coming, but he goes, why would I tell anyone that I would want to sleep with someone nasty like you? That's what he says to me. After all this time, you know, pretending to be my friend, being nice to me, and honestly, I know who told me. I know he was telling people he slept with me, but because I called him out on it, he didn't want to admit it. He didn't want to look like a dumbass, whatever. And all the guys started laughing, and I remember I just took my tray and I whacked him right across the face with it. And
how old were you?
I was 9th grade or 10th grade, so like 16. I was pissed. I was fucking pissed. He was a dick, and he was trying to slut-shame me, and even worse, like pretending like he slept with me. And then when I tried to call him out, he tried to embarrass me by saying I wasn't good enough for his fucking dumb, lying motherfucking ass. I remember I started walking away, and like the principal got up and was calling to me. I'm like, I'm going to the office. I'm fucking going to the office. I ended up not actually getting in trouble in the end because I explained to them what happened, and I had friends and
Did they applaud you?
They didn't applaud me per se. I mean, they didn't like shame me for it either. They said that wasn't, you know, violence is never the answer, which to be fair, it's not like I like hurt him. I more or less dumped my food on him. That is pretty much what the worst part of it was I pretty much dumped all my food on him. And they just told me, you know, there's better ways to deal with it, but what he did was not right, that sort of thing. And, you know, I never talked to him again in school. Fast forward years later, when I started acting and stuff, lo and behold, I get a message from this motherfucker who's married with like multiple children now, who is like way overweight and just unattractive, and he's fucking sitting here like, oh, why don't you send me nudes and stuff like this? I'm like, you know what, guy? You're a fucking tool. You are an actual tool. I did. I was like, good. You remember... Who does stuff like that?
And also, did you think that you forgot?
I don't know, probably. He's psycho. Like, he's clearly a fucking psycho guy. But, yeah, that's my bullying story. And, you know, caveat guys, like, really, truly, calling women sluts, whores, whatever. Even if a woman is sexually active, even if she has a lot of casual partners, at the end of the day, that's her fucking right. And as long as she's being responsible and clear and honest and everyone is consenting, there's no reason ever to call a girl a slut or a whore. There really isn't.
Well, there's no reason to call most names in general. Almost always when anyone's calling a name, I'm like, why are you doing it? Here's the thing.
It's in anger usually.
And also, like, it is, but also, like, if you have something negative to say, you weaken your argument if it's legitimate by calling a name. Like, anytime I've heard of somebody being like, don't work with that person for the following reasons, as soon as I hear a name, I'm like, okay, this is not professional, it's personal, and I don't care about personal, I care about professional.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, even if a woman does, even if she is, you know, likes to have sex or whatever and sleeps with a bunch of people, that's her goddamn fucking right. Mm-hmm. As long as no one's being, like, lied to or cheated on or whatever, it's her fucking right. It's not your right to judge. And it's too often is that used against women where men are, like, applauded. You know, the more women they sleep with, the cooler they are. And then women, if they sleep with anyone, are just fucking whores. Like, we have got to stop that conversation. And we've got to stop perpetuating it in society because it's just not okay. And don't get me wrong, slut-shaming men is also not okay. It's just not. At the end of the day...
Why shame anyone?
Yeah, why shame people? Yeah. Like, even if you don't agree with behavior, as long as they're not affecting you or doing it to you, like, you really shouldn't say anything about it. It's none of your fucking business, honestly. So, there's that.
Well, so for me, I grew up in a very small town, as you guys probably know, and I've always been very fashion inclined. So I've always loved clothing, I've always loved shoes, I've always loved fashion. So I grew up in a small town. This meant that I was always the person that stood out, not because I wanted to stand out. For the record, I actually don't. I don't like people staring or gawking. It makes me feel awkward when I notice it. But I always felt that it was my artistic right to express myself with my clothing and wardrobe, and I've always done it ever since I was a kid. Like, literally going back down to, like, I was a child. I would, like, wear whatever I wanted, even if it wasn't what everyone else was wearing. So keep in mind, in high school, everybody in my town wore big baggy t-shirts and boring jeans, and I've never been that girl. It's just, like, shocking.
I live in that still, but yes.
But to each their own. So long as you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I've always been like, I want to wear a skirt or a dress or platform heels, you know. And usually, honestly, it's usually like the reason why I wear more dresses and skirts typically is because they show off the footwear better. Yeah. And I like how they look, and I like how I feel. I'm a girly person, so I like to be feminine. Mm-hmm. And for the record, my mother was very much the same way. She wore cute little business suits, like, all the fucking time, and heels. Mm-hmm. So that's just how I grew up and what I personally like. No shame. So that meant during high school years, I was called a slut and all these derogatory names based on my wardrobe. And I would always ask them, I would, like, name one person I've slept with.
Yeah, right.
Because keep in mind, as a virgin, they're calling me a slut. Yeah. And I'm like, I haven't slept with anyone, and you're making yourself out to be incredibly ignorant and unknowledgeable. Like, if you look up the definition of that term, I don't actually fit the definition.
And even if you do,
you wouldn't know if I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the reality of the matter. And it would progress, because, like, at one point, like, I was wearing jeans, platform heels, and a long sleeve black shirt that had, like, a 7-inch zipper covering the chest, and it was, like, opened up to here, and then it flared out. So there was an 11 centimeters, which is, I don't know, like, maybe this much, so not a lot, centimeter of my stomach showing. And I got followed into my math class by a female teacher that I did not have, and taken to the principal's office and told to go home to change. When I didn't, she took me to the principal's office. He was like, why don't you just go change? And I was like, because there's a much bigger issue here. And he pulled me in, he pulled the teacher in, because I was waiting for a while, because obviously this isn't planned.
Right.
And I was like, I have a right to express myself in fashion, and nowhere does it state in your rules of conduct that anything that I'm wearing is inappropriate. So if you want to get me in trouble for it, your rules of conduct have to be updated to include that, and then you can hold it against me, but not before. But more importantly, your teacher is targeting me out of her own feelings and not because of the teacher. And he was like, what makes you say that? I was like, because she pulled me out of class and her exact words were, she's like, you could be making the male teacher feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, if he's being a teacher, there should be nothing about my wardrobe as a 16-year-old child that makes him feel uncomfortable when this is within the code of conduct for the school.
Right.
If a teacher has a problem with how the kids are dressing when they meet the code of conduct, that's an issue they need to address, and it's not on the students, first of all. And again, there's nothing, you know, and so he pulled her in. He actually called her out of class and had a conversation. And I debated it with the principal and with my teacher about how I felt she was being unprofessional and unethical. And again, like I said, like if the teacher had an issue with what I was wearing, that's an issue that, correct, should be handled, but on his end and not mine, and it shouldn't be held against me. And then she had the audacity to be like, I bet your mother doesn't know you dress this way. And I was like, oh yeah? My mother bought this for me.
Yep.
She thought I looked cute. And they actually called her to check because they didn't believe me. They assumed that I had like changed on the school bus or something, you know, which I guess people do. And my mom was like, no. They're like, do you know what she wore to school today? And my mom was like, yeah. The black Susie sheer top with the triangle cutout and the jeans short, they're the jean pants and the platform boots, right? Yeah. And they're like, yeah, she's been in the office for 2 hours. And my mom's like, why the hell is she missing class?
Yeah, right.
Like, because a teacher could have a problem with it. No. So anyways, it changed basically how they could react to students. They did relook at it, and at one point they tried to force a uniform, at which point revolted, and they didn't. And to this day, I'm like still that person where like they were like, if we bring her into the office, she's not leaving until she gets away with whatever it is that she's pushing, because she knows. And here's the thing, I knew the rules, I knew how the breakdown was, and I knew what was within my control from a legal standpoint and what wasn't. And something I learned was that public schools have a code of conduct across the board, so you can't just go up and make extra rules. They have to actually add it in.
The board has to approve it. And it has to go school-wide, district-wide. Like,
absolutely.
That's how that works.
110%.
Though I now know for a fact girls can't wear anything that shows stomach. That's how it was with me.
Well, I think it depends on where you are, the state and the province. So, like, in my province, it wasn't. There were some limitations. I think it was, like, all skirts had to be 4 inches past your bum. Like, there were limitations, just nothing that covered
past
the
your bum?
11
Ours
inches.
had to be at our knees.
Oh yeah, we definitely weren't that strict.
Yeah, they were.
But keep in mind also, like, it was pretty much just me wearing that. Like, I was the only person, like, even remotely close.
So didn't think they'd change it until Jessica came on in with her fucking stilettos,
just
cute
me.
skirts.
Right. Well, at that point, that was before my stiletto phase. I was definitely in like stacked platform heels. Like, it was the Spice Girl era, right?
Yeah, it was.
So it was all like Baby Spice, Scary Spice, like the 6-inch heels, but they were like chunky platforms.
Lord, I'm positive you
fucking
did.
Adorable. To this day, I still support what I wore in high school. I was like the most fashionable high school student ever.
Yeah.
And I loved it was just fun for, like, again, I didn't do it for what others thought. I did it because it was my own expression.
I know plenty of people that do that still. And again, it boils down to who the fuck cares? If you're not hurting someone, let a girl dress however the fuck she wants to dress.
Well, and that was like my other thing is I was like, I'm an honor roll student. I have never missed a class.
Right.
My parents trusted me so much that they gave me the right to sign out on my own. So I was a model student. So, and that was like the other point that I made. I was like, do you really have nothing better to do with your time than you're taking an honor roll student out of class for multiple hours because you don't approve of what she's wearing? Like, that just feels absurd.
It is absurd.
And again, because you're saying that you think the male teacher might be uncomfortable with me showing 11 centimeters of stomach.
Right.
Like, get a life.
Yeah. Well, bullying's a thing, guys, and bullying it's not just about someone punching you or whatever. Words can be just as bad, and it's important to note, like, we all have to strive to be better people, that not to do that, but also when we see that being done to people, to stand up for people, because really that's how we change the world, honestly. Speaking of which, about standing up for people.
Well, but before we get off this topic, I want to say, because I've still encountered it in, like, ironically too, like, just what I wear. It's still an issue, and I won't mention it, but there's like a fellow quote-unquote scream queen who's like had an issue, and I've like overheard her making very catty comments because we were at like horror conventions together talking about like, how dare I wear that? And I'm always like, I was in a cute little skirt at the time, a black blazer and a corset style bra, so like you could definitely see my like bra. It was adorable, and it's, for the record, it's like one of those bras that I think is totally intended to be shown.
It's supposed to be
you know what I mean? But either way, I looked great, and again, I'm still also, like, for the record, we're at a horror convention, so it's not like I'm walking into Sunday school church like this. And I'm
Context
still more
is
covered
key.
than cosplayers who
Yeah.
are there, which again, also, they have the right to wear whatever the hell they
Whatever
want.
they
And
want.
everybody there looks
As
fucking
long as they're
bomb.
covered.
Correct. And I would never, like, say anything negative. Again, like, she doesn't dress up for conventions, and that's her right to not dress up. But it's also my right to get dressed up. You know, like, it's fun. And this is just, again, for me, like, I have literally, like, 3 modes. It's like pajamas, which is almost all the time, and then workout clothing if I'm working out, and then full-blown dress and heels. Like, that's it. Like, there's no in between. Like, I don't really have much of a casual zone. A little bit, but not really. So, and again, like I said, if I'm not going to hold it against you for wearing jeans and a t-shirt at a horror convention, just don't hold it against me for wearing what I want. Like, you're comfortable, I'm comfortable, let's just be happy and move on.
Exactly. I mean, again, it's just not cool. Why shame people over something that's just stupid? Why get offended?
Why talk shit?
Yeah.
Like, don't you have any, like, there's more important things to talk about.
No, and at the end of the day, people that do that to people, they don't realize, like, to the majority of us, you look bad. Not the person you're trashing, but you look bad. And it's a judgment. It makes us judge you. So, yeah. Okay. Do you want to wrap it up, or you want to talk about
Well, you had something else and I interrupted you.
No, I'll be for another time. I think this is good.
Comment down below if you want to hear what that story is, because now I'm curious.
Yes.
Like, wait a second.
Should I just say it's a shorter episode? I feel like I could do one more, but okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay. So my dad always taught me to stand up for myself, but also to stand up for other people. Specifically if I saw bullying, because it's not okay, right? It's just not okay. And I feel like maybe I told you this story, but I don't think I've said this publicly. But one time on the bus, there was this kid, and it's funny because if he's still on Facebook, we're friends still to this day. But he was a bigger kid. He was kind of heavier, bigger guy, period. Like, was always kind of a bigger guy, like stocky, big guy. And he was picking on this kid who was like 3 or 4 years younger than him, and also just a twig, you know, in his awkward puberty stage. Like, this little kid, this was a little fucking kid. And he was basically threatening him and bullying him and saying he was going to beat this kid's ass. Again, this is a small child compared to this guy. Like, I mean, he was just massive. And at the time, I was only 12, maybe 65 pounds wet. Like, I mean, I was a little person too. And JB was the same age as me, but he was picking on the kids. Anyways, we get off the school bus, and he is really threatening this little boy. Like, and honestly, I think the kid was he gay? He might have been gay or something like that. We knew, you know, it was one of those eras where we kind of knew it, but no one talked about it yet because we were all too young.
Too young to even
and he
know
was
it
too
himself.
young to even know it himself. Either way, he was getting picked on, and JB was threatening him and pushing him and all this crap. And I just remember, I like was yelling at him to stop. No one else was helping. None of the other kids were helping. And it's like, if we all band together, you know. Anyways, I walked up and I bitch slapped the living shit out of the kid that was like pushing and trying to punch this little kid. I hit him so hard, I'm pretty sure he saw Jesus. And he looks at me and I go, dude, if you hit him again, I swear I will fight you. I will fight you. I'm a girl and I will straight up. And I was like, I promise you might hurt me, but I'm gonna hurt you too. Anyways, kid basically starts crying. This bully starts basically crying and yelling at me, and he starts walking to my house because we all knew where he lived. We lived like within blocks of each other. And this is when my dad was still alive. And he's banging on my door. My dad opens the door. I'm standing there, and I feel a little bad because I know you're not supposed to hit people. I know this, but I felt like I had to do this so this boy would stop hitting this little boy. You know what I mean? And bullying him. My dad comes out, and JB tells him the whole story. That I hit him. He left out the part that he was bullying the kid. He just is like, she attacked me and slapped me and you need to do something about this and all this. And my dad goes, Heather, why did you hit him? And I'm like, because Dad, he was picking, bullying, and attacking a little kid that's like 3 times less his size and also a lot younger than him. And he looks at me, he goes, good girl. And he just goes back and closes the door. So...
Take that, JB.
Yeah, take that. You know what's funny? JB left school shortly after and came back years later, moved back into his grandmother's house down the road, and he told me that we ended up becoming really good friends, but he said that moment single-handedly like changed his perspective.
It's funny how you can, like, again, like sometimes all it takes is standing up and calling out these people and their bad behaviors for them to honestly, like, here's the thing, you never guarantee if somebody's going to have a realization, but you can do your part to ensure that if they need to, they should.
Right. And that's the thing. It's not like I just like hit him and was like attacking him. I like was telling him like, what you're doing is wrong. This is not okay. Why are you even doing this? This kid has done nothing to you. It's not right. It's not okay. But he said that like that moment and watching someone so fervently stand up for someone that they didn't even know, because I didn't know the boy. I really didn't. I knew him like on the bus, but we weren't friends. You know, but at the end of the day, it was not right. I knew it was not right, and someone had to do something. And he said that moment, like, made him think and stop bullying kids. Made him stop bullying kids. So, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to add too, like, there were moments where the one for me progressed where they, like, were they were stalking me, one of the girls, and it progressed, like, where, again, I felt like rather than get into an altercation, we called the cops.
Yeah.
So as
100%.
shitty as that is, because it's like this moment where you don't want to call a cop on a classmate, but, like, if you are
being
threatened and you believe that the threat is sincere, even again, like in Canada,
even if you're unsure,
we don't call
if someone's
Canada
threatening you,
yeah,
you
or like saying
right.
they're gonna beat you up when you're done work and they know where you work or whatever, which is the case with me. Like I just was like, I'm not even playing this game because I'm not gonna be scared to like walk out my door. I'm not gonna be scared to like leave my work.
No,
you know what I mean. I'm just not.
No,
it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't make you a chicken to call the police. If someone is threatening you, you have every right. Call the police.
So if you like us, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button down below and also subscribe. 10 million bonus points if you join our Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get signed swag, join our Google Hangouts, and a bunch of other cool things. We do giveaways every month and every quarter for all Patreons. So definitely check that out. We couldn't do the show without the Patreon support. And if you are already on our Patreon, we thank you endlessly.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one. Thank you so much for checking out Scream Queen Stream. We hope you loved it as much as we do.
If you want to see more of our videos, check out our YouTube page. And while you're there, how about you subscribe? You want to see more? Just tweet us. Find us on Facebook. Join in on the fun.
And most importantly, if you really want to join us on this crazy ride, check out our Patreon page and become a patron for amazing, awesome perks that we give out monthly.
As well as early access to all of our videos.
Free giveaways.
And a whole lot more fun shit.
So check it out.
We'll see you there.
Stay bloody.
You stole my tagline.
I did.
You're a horrible friend.